in the eyes of the public. Felix Verdejo and Eliza Santiago were the perfect picture of a wealthy and happy young family. He was a Puerto Rican boxing star. She was a glamorous model with tens of thousands of followers, and together they lived with their young daughter. Admired by all. But behind that dazzling facade lay an irreparable crack. Felix was secretly involved in an affair with his childhood friend, Keisha Rodriguez, who was now carrying his child. Then, an unusual detail emerged. Keisha suddenly vanished just one day after revealing her pregnancy, leaving behind a silent home and starving pets waiting for their owner. Was Keisha's disappearance merely a random tragedy? Or was it the piece of the puzzle that exposed the dark side behind Felix Verdejo's perfect family portrait? The warm, year-round sunlight of San Juan was where Felix Verdejo was born, raised in a large but modest Puerto Rican family. Felix harbored dreams of becoming a professional athlete from a young age. Interestingly, young Felix didn't initially aspire to be a boxer. His dream was to become an outstanding baseball player. But Felix's life took a pivotal turn at the age of 9. During a scuffle with friends, his natural aggression and fighting ability were noticed. Instead of pursuing baseball, his family decided to enroll him in a local boxing gym. That decision completely altered the trajectory of Felix's life. Felix's talent quickly shone in the ring. With his tall frame, long reach, and innate strength, he seemed born to be a fighter. At just 16, Felix won the Pan American Junior Championship, a remarkable achievement for a young boxer. He went on to claim the Puerto Rican National Championship, cementing his status in the island's boxing scene. The pinnacle of Felix's amateur career came in 2012 when he reached the quarterfinals of the London Olympics. Though he didn't win a medal, this accomplishment was enough to make his name and pave the way for a promising professional career. In 2015, Felix achieved a significant milestone by winning the WBO Latino title, a coveted honor in regional boxing. At 22, he had become one of Puerto Rico's most promising young boxers, expected to bring world titles to his homeland. Alongside his success in the ring, Felix found love with Eliza Maria Santiago Sierra, born in 1997. Eliza was a well-known model with captivating beauty and tens of thousands of social media followers. In addition to modeling, she ran her own beauty studio. The two met when Eliza was just 14 and Felix, already 18, was a rising boxing star. Their relationship quickly blossomed, and in 2016 they married. In 2019 they welcomed their first daughter, Miranda, creating a picture-perfect family in the eyes of the public. However, behind that flawless exterior, Felix and Eliza's marriage harbored cracks that few knew about. This tragic story began with a tangled romantic relationship among three people: Felix Verdejo, Keisha Rodriguez, and Eliza Santiago. Wrong decisions and deceit gradually led to a catastrophic outcome that no one could have foreseen. Felix and Keisha began dating in high school. When both were teenagers full of dreams, their romance was natural and sweet. Like many first loves, Keisha, with her open personality and love for animals, won Felix's heart, a young man gaining fame in the local boxing scene. They shared youthful memories, afternoons after school, and dreams of the future. However, in 2011, when Felix was 18 and his boxing career was making significant strides, he met Eliza Santiago, a 14-year-old girl with striking beauty and ambitions of becoming a model. Despite their significant age gap, Felix was powerfully drawn to Eliza. Surprisingly, Eliza's family did not object but instead supported the relationship, perhaps seeing Felix's potential and bright future as a professional boxer. In contrast, Keisha's family was entirely opposed to her relationship with Felix. Jose and Kayla Rodriguez, along with her brother Jonathan, were concerned about Felix's character and lifestyle. They recognized signs of a controlling and unfaithful man. But love blinded Keisha, and she couldn't let go of Felix despite her family's repeated interventions. In 2016, Felix and Eliza officially married in a wedding that drew attention from the Puerto Rican public. By then, Felix had become a well-known boxer, and Eliza was establishing herself in the modeling world. On the surface, they were a perfect couple. He a talented fighter, she a captivating beauty. But what Eliza didn't know was that Felix was secretly maintaining his relationship with Keisha. He skillfully concealed it, using sophisticated methods to communicate with his former lover without his wife's knowledge. Felix lived a double life by day, a model husband by night, secretly meeting Keisha. Keisha, aware that Felix was married, still couldn't sever her feelings. She believed Felix's promises that he would divorce Eliza to be with her. These secret meetings continued for years, creating a complex situation in which all three were entangled. Eliza, with a woman's intuition, began to suspect her husband's unusual behavior. Late-night phone calls, secretive messages, and changes in Felix's demeanor all raised her concerns. However, each time she confronted him, Felix provided reasonable explanations and promised to end any outside relationships. Eliza, out of love and for the sake of their young family with their daughter Miranda, born in 2019, chose to believe him. The year 2020 marked a turning point in all three lives. Eliza finally discovered the painful truth through messages on Felix's phone. She not only found texts with Keisha, but also evidence of Felix's involvement with multiple other women. The betrayal hit her like a bolt of lightning, unable to tolerate it any longer. Eliza decided to expose the scandal. She used her social media influence to reveal Felix's infidelity, severely damaging his reputation. The images and messages she shared sparked outrage among the Puerto Rican public. Eliza didn't stop there. She threatened divorce and, more significantly, barred Felix from seeing their daughter, Miranda. For Felix, being separated from his daughter was a heavy punishment. He loved Miranda, and being cut off from her left him desperate. Pressure from his wife and the public forced Felix to temporarily stop seeing Keisha. However, he couldn't fully let go of the relationship. Instead, he tried to control Keisha from a distance, constantly monitoring and interfering in her life. He used cunning tactics to ensure Keisha didn't leave him while keeping everything hidden from Eliza. In April 2021, an unexpected event changed everything. Keisha discovered she was pregnant. The news was like a bomb exploding in her life and those around her. Keisha first shared the news with her sister Barice, her constant source of emotional support. After careful consideration, Keisha decided to keep the baby. She prepared herself for the possibility of raising the child alone, but still hoped Felix would take responsibility and support her decision. When Keisha informed Felix of her pregnancy, his reaction was the opposite of what she expected. Felix was furious, terrified that a child out of wedlock would ruin his recovering career and reputation. More importantly, it could completely destroy his marriage to Eliza. Felix adamantly demanded that Keisha abort the pregnancy. He cited numerous reasons his career would be jeopardized, his family would fall apart, and both would face societal pressure. But Keisha firmly refused. With a mother's sacred love and belief in the child's right to life, she could not accept abortion. Keisha's refusal drove Felix to become aggressive and threatening. He used harsh words, trying to persuade or force Keisha to change her mind. When all efforts failed, Felix began contemplating extreme measures. Realizing Keisha could not be persuaded, Felix started planning to resolve the issue his own way. He arranged to meet Keisha on the evening of April 29th, claiming he wanted to see her pregnancy confirmation documents, acting as if he had finally accepted the truth. Meanwhile, Felix secretly contacted Luis Cadiz, a longtime friend. Luis was not just an ordinary friend. He had murky ties to the criminal underworld. He worked at an auto repair shop but was also involved in illegal drug trafficking. Felix sought out Luis deliberately. He knew Luis could provide what he needed from drugs to other special services. In carefully concealed conversations, Felix and Luis began devising a plan to deal with Keisha permanently. No one could have imagined that the meeting on the evening of April 29th would be the last time Keisha was seen alive. Felix and Luis's sinister plan was complete, waiting only for the moment to be executed. The night of April 29, 2021 will forever be remembered as one of the darkest nights in Puerto Rico's criminal history. What happened that night not only took the life of an innocent young woman, but also destroyed the lives of many others. Keisha Rodriguez, with a mix of anxiety and faint hope, drove her Kia Forte to the meeting point in her purse. She carried the pregnancy confirmation document, proof of the child she was determined to protect despite any challenges. Keisha thought Felix was finally ready to listen and that they might find a solution to their complicated situation. Upon arriving, Keisha saw Felix's familiar truck. She didn't know that in the shadows behind the truck, Luis Cadiz was hiding, waiting for the right moment to carry out the brutal plan the two men had devised. Keisha climbed into Felix's truck with mixed emotions. She hoped the conversation would help Felix understand her decision and accept his responsibility as a father. However, from the first moments, the atmosphere grew tense. Felix demanded to see the pregnancy confirmation, and when Keisha handed it to him, his gaze turned cold. He once again insisted that Keisha abort, his tone sharper than ever. Felix listed the consequences the child could bring. His career would be ruined, his reputation destroyed, and his family torn apart. Keisha, with a mother's resolve, steadfastly refused. She explained that she couldn't kill the child in her womb, that it was a life she was responsible for protecting. Keisha's words, though sincere and filled with maternal love, only fueled Felix's anger. The argument escalated rapidly. Felix lost control, his threats growing more severe. He warned Keisha that if she didn't cooperate, she would face consequences. Keisha, in fear, tried to calm Felix and urge him to think carefully about the decision. Suddenly, Felix completely lost control. In a fit of rage, he struck Keisha hard on the head. The unexpected blow caused the young woman to collapse, her consciousness fading. Unable to react, her body went limp. At that moment, Luis Cadiz emerged from behind the truck. He carried a syringe filled with animal tranquilizer, a substance he had prepared for this plan. With chilling calmness, Felix and Luis injected the drug into Keisha's unconscious body. After ensuring Keisha was completely immobilized, the two men proceeded with the next phase of their plan. They bound her with sturdy steel wire, ensuring that even if she regained consciousness, she couldn't escape. They then attached a heavy concrete block to her body, a tool Luis had prepared from his auto shop, to conceal the body. Felix and Luis covered Keisha with a tarp. Every detail was meticulously calculated to leave no trace. With Keisha bound and covered in the back of the truck, Felix drove toward the bridge over San Jose Lagoon. Luis sat beside him, both men silent throughout the journey. Perhaps they were reflecting on what they had done, or perhaps they were focused on completing their horrific plan. San Jose Lagoon was a secluded area at night, making it an ideal location for the crime they were about to commit. The bridge spanning the lagoon was deserted, with only the sound of wind and rippling water in the dark night. Upon reaching the bridge, Felix and Luis checked the surroundings to ensure no one was watching. They pulled Keisha from the truck. She was still alive but in a semi-conscious state due to the tranquilizer, with chilling cruelty. The two men threw Keisha into the water. The weight of the concrete block caused her to sink quickly to the bottom of the lagoon, but they didn't stop there. Felix, wanting to ensure Keisha could not survive, fired several shots into the water where she had been thrown. The sound of gunshots echoed through the silent night, marking the end of a young and hopeful life. Keisha Rodriguez, along with her unborn child, became the victim of a brutal and inhumane crime. After completing their heinous act, Felix and Luis quickly left the scene. They drove in separate directions to avoid being seen together. As planned, they left Keisha's Kia 40 on the east side of the city, far from the crime scene. The car was deliberately abandoned to create confusion for the investigation. Felix and Luis hoped it would lead police to believe Keisha had left voluntarily, perhaps to escape the pressure of her unplanned pregnancy. The night of April 29, 2021 ended in silence, but its consequences would linger for years. A family lost a beloved daughter, an unborn child lost the chance at life, and two men turned themselves into cold-blooded criminals. On the morning of April 30, 2021, as the sun rose over San Juan, colleagues at the veterinary center grew worried. Keisha Rodriguez, always punctual and dedicated to her work, failed to show up. This was entirely out of character for a responsible woman like Keisha. After numerous unanswered calls, her colleagues contacted her family. Baris, Keisha's sister, was overwhelmed with worry upon receiving the news. She rushed to Keisha's home to check on her. The scene Baris encountered upon entering Keisha's house was terrifying. Her two dogs and cat were starving, and the house showed signs that Keisha had left the previous evening without preparation. The pets Keisha loved like her own children would never have been left in such a state. Boris immediately called the police and contacted Felix Verdejo. The call with Felix was tense, but he insisted he had been home all evening and had no idea where Keisha was. His calm, almost cold demeanor raised Boris's suspicions. News of Keisha's disappearance quickly reached her mother, who was living in Florida, filled with worry and a sense of dread. She booked a flight to San Juan immediately, upon arriving in Puerto Rico. Keisha's mother harbored serious suspicions about Felix. She was well aware of the complicated relationship between her daughter and Felix, especially the pressure he had exerted when Keisha announced her pregnancy. She suspected Felix had coerced Keisha into an abortion and might have done something to resolve the issue. The Rodriguez family banded together, searching for clues about Keisha's whereabouts. They contacted friends, colleagues, and anyone who might have information about her, but all efforts led to dead ends. The San Juan police launched a serious investigation. They questioned Keisha's neighbors, hoping to find someone who had seen her leave on the night of April 29th. Colleagues at the veterinary center were also asked about any recent unusual behavior from Keisha. During the investigation, police uncovered the complex relationship between Keisha and Felix. However, when questioned, Felix adamantly denied any involvement in Keisha's disappearance, claiming he was home with his family the entire night of April 29th. A small breakthrough occurred when police found Keisha's Kia Forte abandoned on the east side of the city. The car was intact, with her documents and personal belongings inside. This complicated the investigation. Why would Keisha leave her car but take her personal items? On May 1, 2021, a passerby walking along San Jose Lagoon made a horrifying discovery. A young woman's body was floating in the water, dead for at least a day. Police quickly arrived at the scene and began recovering the body. Identification was difficult due to water damage, but a distinctive tattoo on the victim's hand confirmed it was Keisha Rodriguez. News of Keisha's death spread like wildfire across Puerto Rico. The public was outraged by the brutal murder, especially upon learning that the victim was pregnant. Protests demanding justice quickly emerged, with thousands of citizens participating. With the discovery of the body, the investigation shifted from a missing person case to a murder investigation. Felix Verdejo was summoned for questioning again, this time as the primary suspect. During the interrogation, Felix continued to deny any involvement in Keisha's death, maintaining he was home with his family on the night of April 29th. However, a critical detail emerged when police asked Eliza about Felix's alibi. She couldn't fully corroborate his story. Eliza admitted she knew about Felix's relationship with Keisha and her pregnancy. This established a clear motive for the murder. Felix had reason to want to eliminate Keisha and her unborn child. Further investigation yielded crucial evidence. Traffic cameras in the area captured Felix's truck and Keisha's Kia Forte heading toward the San Jose Lagoon Bridge on the night of April 29th. More significantly, a search of Felix's truck revealed Keisha's hair. DNA testing confirmed it belonged to the victim, proving Keisha had been in Felix's truck near the time of her death. As investigative pressure mounted, an unexpected development occurred. Luis Cadiz turned himself in to the police. He confessed to participating in the murder, providing the tranquilizer, and assisting in disposing of the body. Luis's testimony revealed the full truth about the night of April 29th. He described in detail the crime, from hiding in the truck and injecting Keisha with the drug to throwing her into the lagoon. Police also seized Felix's gun, the same weapon used to shoot Keisha after she was thrown into the water. Cell phone data from Felix, Luis, and Keisha confirmed they were all at the same location at the time of the crime. With this evidence, police had sufficient grounds to arrest Felix Verdejo on charges of premeditated murder. The arrest of a famous boxing star shocked Puerto Rico and drew international media attention. On May 8, 2021, Keisha Rodriguez's funeral became a powerful call for justice. Thousands of Puerto Ricans gathered to bid her farewell, turning the funeral into a peaceful protest with the messages, "Justice for Keisha and end gender violence." Keisha's tragic story became a symbol of the movement against violence toward women. Felix Verdejo faced charges that could lead to the death penalty: armed carjacking, kidnapping resulting in death, premeditated murder, and killing an unborn child. The last charge was particularly severe, as the autopsy confirmed Keisha was 5 weeks pregnant. Luis Cadiz faced similar charges, but had a chance to avoid the death penalty by cooperating with authorities. Felix's lawyers focused on three main points. First, they denied any involvement by Felix in the crime. Second, they attacked Luis Cadiz's credibility, accusing him of fabricating the story for leniency. Finally, they highlighted the lack of direct evidence, emphasizing the absence of Felix's fingerprints on the body or the concrete block. The prosecution built its case on Luis Cadiz's detailed testimony, corroborated by phone data showing all three individuals moving to the locations described. Critical forensic evidence included Keisha's hair found in Felix's truck. Prosecutors also established a clear motive. Felix feared Keisha's pregnancy would destroy his career and marriage. After a tense trial, the jury accepted the prosecution's arguments and rejected the defense's claims. Felix Verdejo was convicted on all charges, including premeditated murder and killing an unborn child. Luis Cadiz was also convicted, but may receive a reduced sentence. By the summer of 2023, both had been found guilty, though their final sentences were still pending, expected to be announced in mid-November 2023. The story of Felix Verdejo and Keisha Rodriguez is a heartbreaking tragedy, illustrating the consequences of obsession and violence from a promising boxing star. Felix destroyed his own life, taking the lives of Keisha and her unborn child. The case serves as a warning about gender violence and the responsibilities of public figures. Though Felix and Luis may face life imprisonment without parole, Keisha's family will forever bear the irreparable pain of their loss. This story underscores the importance of justice and awareness of violence in society.